Hello, and welcome to the Killer Cuties podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Cassidy, and I've seen almost every horror movie out there.
And I'm KD, and before we started, I'd seen almost none of them.
So join us each week as I attempt to make a horror fan out of KD.
As a warning, we will be discussing spoilers and some uncomfortable topics that may be in the plots, so feel free to check out the film on doesthedogdie.com first to check for any triggers before listening.
Today, we're talking about one of the first ever slasher films, 1974's Black Christmas. Let's get spooky. Should I kick us off with a summary?
Yes, please.
All right, so at a sorority house, someone calls in, and when the girls answer, they realize it's a recurring caller the girls have nicknamed the Moaner for his inappropriate calls. After this, one of the girls, Claire, decides to go up to her bedroom to pack for winter break. However, she's killed in her room by the caller. The next day, Claire's father arrives, and he and the sorority members report her missing to the police and start a search. That night, while the girls are searching for Claire, their house mother actually discovers Claire's body up in the attic, but she's killed by the attacker as well. Jess, one of the girls, answers another one of the attacker's calls, and she decides that she's going to have the police tap the line and try to trace it to identify the caller. Later, while Jess is listening to some carolers, another of the sorority girls is killed upstairs in her room. The sound's kind of drowned out by the singing children. Jess receives another call, and the caller repeats back part of the conversation that she had with her boyfriend Peter earlier. And the call was too short to trace. She and the police kind of start to suspect Peter because the caller knew what they had talked about. After locking up the house, one of the last sorority members is killed after finding another girl's body. Jess answers another call, and this time the police are able to trace it. They tell her to leave because the call is coming from inside the house.
Mhm.
So Jess, not knowing that her friends are already dead, doesn't want to leave without them and tries to go get them. But she's confronted by the killer, and she's chased into the basement where she locks herself inside. Soon after, Peter arrives, and he breaks into the basement trying to find Jess. He asks if she's okay, but in a state of panic, she beats Peter to death. The police find her holding his dead body, and believing him to be the killer, they put her to bed and leave her alone in the bedroom. However, the killer's voice is then heard from the attic, revealing that Peter was not, in fact, the killer. And as the camera pans out from the house, the phone begins to ring. And that's Black Christmas.
That's Black Christmas.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think it's fun. This is this is one of the first slashers. I think only 4 came before it. Peeping Tom, Psycho, A Bay of Blood, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it kind of was a blueprint of sorts, along with the others. It kind of paved the way for other slashers to come after it.
Yeah. It really do be walking, so Halloween be running.
Okay.
Um,
I think this ran
Yeah.
so Halloween could walk.
Yikes. Tell that to all of Halloween's sequels.
This movie has 2 sequels, thank you very much.
I said all of Halloween sequels.
Actually,
All,
it doesn't.
like,
It has
8
2
of them.
remakes.
Yeah.
And they
That's
were
not the
both terrible.
A remake that's terrible. Imagine.
No, remakes are always bad. I can't stress enough how bad the remakes are of this.
Really?
They are almost unwatchable.
Anybody interesting in them?
The 2006 one is kind of star-studded. It's got Katie Cassidy, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls,
Yeah.
Michelle Trachtenberg. It's actually star-studded. And they bring back oh shit, what's her name? She's in this. Let me look. Andrea Martin, who plays Phil.
Oh.
She comes back and plays the house mother in the remake. So it is,
Cute.
but without like spending too much time on that movie, there was a lot of like studio interference with what they wanted to do because the director actually knew Bob Clark, the director of the original, and like had his blessing to do a remake, and he wanted to be like really faithful to the original, but studio interference like caused them to go in a completely different direction, and like even he has
Huh.
said like this is terrible because of what they did to it, like it's a massacre because they just like gutted it. So yeah.
Bad.
And then the 2019 one is worse. It's it was really bad.
Oh no.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah. But you
I
know
don't think
what?
this was really bad.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't even bad. It was good.
um you mentioned Halloween though. And there's
I
a
did.
fun fact about this that I wanted to tell you about.
Oh.
And that is that there is kind of a rumor about this film that Bob Clark, the director, had an idea for a sequel where a year later, the killer would escape from an asylum and come back on Halloween and kill people. And he wanted to call it Halloween. And apparently, he told this idea to John Carpenter, who would a few years later go on to make Halloween, a movie about a killer who escapes an asylum and comes back and kills everyone.
But that's a rumor.
That's what people say.
What people?
There's like, I don't know, like in Hollywood, like there's articles that say like, yeah, Bob Clark like had this idea for a sequel and he told it to John Carpenter. But like, I guess Bob Clark has said like, oh, I don't think he meant to rip anything off. So like, I don't know. So,
Well,
anyways, Halloween's a sham. Just
wow.
kidding. Yeah.
Um, well, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. I've never spoken ill of John Carpenter.
Yeah.
I really do like him.
I know you
I
do.
really do like Halloween.
Yeah. I know you do.
It it was what was paving the way for future slashers.
Well,
But
you can't really discredit the ones that came before it.
well, no, of course not. But it was the one that took off for sure. For sure, for sure.
I mean, Psycho was, that definitely
Psycho
took
did
off.
it did well. I mean, this movie did well too. I mean, it made twice its budget.
It did, but it wasn't like a super like box office hit. And it was
No,
received really negatively when it first came out, like
at first,
critically.
yeah.
And then it kind of developed a cult following and critics reevaluated it and were like, never mind, this is a classic. Like
Yeah. A lot of horror movies do that though.
yeah.
Like you don't other than like Disney Channel original movies, horror like horror movies come out and they people are like, "Oh my god, it sucks." And then 20 years later they rewatch it and they're like, "Oh my god, wait, that was actually really good."
I feel like
You know what I
some
mean?
of them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not all of them. Some of them.
Yeah, but
But
we've definitely seen that happen before where movies just kind of came out a little bit before its time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This a lot of people interpreted the subplot of this movie where Jess is choosing to have an abortion despite Peter not wanting her to do that as a very
Mhm.
feminist statement. This movie came out a year after Roe v. Wade, so a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're taking like a
Oh.
political stance." And Bob
I
Clark
mean,
and
they were
Olivia,
writing it around the time that it would have been happening then.
exactly, yeah. Um, Bob Clark, the director, and then Olivia Hussey, who plays Jess, were like, "No, it was just like something we thought people could like we could talk about in between the murders." So it wasn't their intention, but I feel like we've talked a lot about like intention and versus like impact before. Like I remember in our episode on martyrs, a lot of people felt that it was kind of sexist, and like the director was like, that was not my intention at all. But like at some point, like intention doesn't matter if enough people kind of think that. And I
Yeah.
think it's kind of the same here. Like it doesn't really matter if they intended it to be a feminist movie. It kind of just is because they decided to include this woman who in the 70s wants an abortion, is going to have an abortion. He's there trying to propose and she's like, I got to work on my school and my career. Like I'm not doing this right now. So sorry, Bob Clark. It doesn't matter what you wanted. This is a
Yeah.
feminist
And
slasher.
yeah, and the fact that that is the exact opposite of the consensus at the time, like of course people are going to think it's a feminist movie. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
silly Bob.
I know. But even he had a strict rule when he was writing uh the women characters that like he never wanted to objectify them sexually or have any nude scenes because he wanted them to be real people and not just disposable horror characters like waiting to die. So like even like in the process of writing it, he was kind of looking at it differently than a lot of people making slashers back then, where they're like, let's show some titties, let's have her die. Like that was
Yeah.
seen in, Friday the 13th and Halloween even, and, a lot of movies back then that it was like, you have sex and then you die. Not here. Not in this sorority house.
No. In this sorority house, you have abortions and you kill your boyfriend.
Exactly. The way the good Lord intend. No.
um and no, that I mean that whole thing was like, oh god, I hated him so much. I hated Peter so much. God, everything out of his mouth. I just wanted to punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, he kind of
Um
sucked.
yeah. So there was a lot of like tension building there, which was infuriating. But
Mhm.
but no, it was refreshing to have a like powerful female character who was like, no, I'm not doing this. I want to prioritize my career. I don't need to get married right now. It's just not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super refreshing because in any other movie, it would have she very well would have been having that baby.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, Jess was described as the best final Gorl. What am I, Gru from the Minions?
Final girl.
The best final Goyle in history. No, she was described as the best final girl in horror history by a 2016 list published by the entertainment magazine Paste. So at least someone out there thought this is the best final girl ever.
I I don't disagree with who
Yeah,
I've seen. Like she's
she's kind of killing it.
yeah,
She's
bad
up
bitch.
there.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah,
I don't think she's a final girl. I did it too. I
Goyle.
almost said final girl. Um, I don't think she's living much longer past the end of this movie, if I'm being honest.
Okay, so you're part of the people that think that she died.
Well, I mean, I don't think she died at the end of the movie. I think she died
Oh,
like
okay.
soon after the end of the movie.
Okay. So some people think that the ambiguous ending means that Jess died because he calls after every murder, and as it's panning out, you hear the phone ring. So like people thought that right, they thought
Oh.
that implied that he had come in the room and killed her and then was calling to confess basically.
Oh.
So that's like a fan theory. Bob Clark had like wanted to do a sequel, and he had wanted her to come back and be like the sorority house mother. So I don't know. The
Mhm.
director apparently thought she lived because he wanted to do a sequel, but the ending does. I could see how that would imply that she died. So who's to say? Not me.
Yeah, I didn't put those pieces together, but that makes even
Hmm.
more sense. Like I definitely thought that she died because like he was still in the house.
Right, yeah, that
But
he's
I
still
didn't put
out
the
there.
pieces together that she was, like, actively dying as the movie was ending because the phone rang.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
it does.
Add me to that fan theory believers list.
I like it. Yeah, the studio even, like, they pushed for a more conclusive ending too, because they didn't like that it kind of
Oh,
left it
no.
up to interpretation. And they even suggested they were like, oh, like have Claire's boyfriend be revealed as the killer because he's like one of the last people
No.
alive. And Bob Clark was like, this guy was with the police the whole time searching for
Yeah.
Claire. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's a huge plot hole. Like he couldn't have done it. So
Yeah.
no, he basically was just like, we're keeping it how it is. Sorry. Like, and it was
Yeah,
correct because that's part of the reason why it's such a like cult classic. People loved that it was ambiguous.
yeah, it's the perfect example of an ambiguous ending because you know who the killer is, like, you have closure. Like, you
Hmm.
have some sort of closure, but it's still open and ended enough that it makes you think,
Right. You're still
like, you
like,
don't.
who is this guy? Why is he doing this? Like,
Yeah, and, like, who all did he kill? Like,
did he
what
kill
part did he
Jess?
play in all of it? Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Did
for
he kill Jess?
sure.
Is Jess still alive? Yeah. So, like, that whereas some ambiguous endings are like, "Who is the killer?" Like, "What was the whole point of this movie?" Like,
Right. Like, what
that
even
was not what
happened?
this was.
Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was a well done ending. I was happy
Yeah,
with it.
totally. Yeah, I wasn't complaining about that at all.
Yeah. But
I was,
also,
however,
oh, wait, go. What?
complaining about the beginning.
Yeah, you were very upset with the pacing of this.
Yeah, I was so annoyed at the beginning of this movie. We watched it with a group of friends in Discord,
Hmm.
and it just felt so, I don't know if it was because I was, like, working at the same time or what, but it just felt so slow at the beginning. I was just so ready for people to start dying. Like, it just, I don't know if it was, like, the tension wasn't being built,
Mm,
like like, there wasn't enough tension being built, or if it wasn't being built fast enough.
mm,
I don't know, but there was something just off about the pacing for me. But once it, like, hit its stride, honestly, about the time that, like, Jess and Peter started having, like, the talks about the pregnancy,
yeah,
that was about where, like, okay, like,
it picked up.
there's a character that I can really hate, and there's a character that I can really love, and
Yeah,
yeah, that's where I picked up, for me. But
yeah. I mean, that's definitely fair. I didn't have that problem. I don't mind if it's like a little bit slow burny. Um, so yeah, I didn't feel that, but I definitely could see how you would. It's interesting because I watched this movie for the first time like a few years ago. So not like it was after I had seen a lot of horror movies and already kind of gotten into it that I was like, oh, here's this movie that's like a classic. I should watch it. And I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, this is kind of like a different type of take on a slasher, even though like this is a blueprint for slashers, right? Like this was one of the first, so it's not really different because it was already done. But to me, it felt so different because like nobody knows there's a slasher. Like everybody's
yeah.
just like going on with their lives, not knowing that like all their friends are dead. And so to me, I was like, oh
Yes.
wait, that's kind of like a unique take on it, even though it was like the fourth take on it. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But
So I
you're
don't know.
right. Nobody's, like, running around screaming and
Right, you're not getting
fighting
chased
and
by the killer until the very end. Like, you're not trying to figure out who it is because you don't know that something's wrong.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. They
Yeah.
don't, and that hasn't been, like, reproduced much since then either.
Yeah, there's not like very many examples that I can think of that do that.
I haven't seen any.
Yeah. Yeah. um oh, okay, so about 2 weeks before this movie was supposed to have its like primetime network debut, it's gonna be on NBC. They're gonna play it. Um At Florida State University, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy were murdered because someone broke into their sorority house and attacked and killed them. And then after that, they also attacked their two housemates, Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner. They survived, um, but I think they had like lifelong sustained injuries because of it, probably mentally as
Yikes.
well. And then also a
Yeah.
nearby apartment, Cheryl Thomas was attacked and assaulted as well. She also lived. But yeah, due to public outrage, NBC pulled the plug. They did not show it because a lot of people were saying that this movie inspired the killer to do that. Uh,
Oof.
the killer was later identified as Ted Bundy. So
Oh.
I think they realized that that probably wasn't the inspiration. He's just a shitbag of a person. But still, really fucked up that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible timing.
Yeah,
And then they released it on TV anyway,
they did. Well,
under a
I
different
think,
name.
yeah, that was like, I think a couple years later that they did that. But yeah. Yeah, at that time they pulled it, which I mean makes sense. Like that's happened in other movies too, where like movies get delayed
Yeah.
or pushed back because of
World
like what
events.
was it Scream that got pushed back because of Columbine? No, that was later. Some movie got pushed back because Columbine happened and it was about like kids, like high school kids dying, so they had to push it back. So like it's happened before where like these national tragedies happen and then movies get pushed back because they have similar content or something like that.
Oh yeah. I think it was Scream.
I don't think so because didn't Columbine happen in 1999 and Scream came out in 1996? Am I right
Oh,
on that?
I feel like we've talked about it.
Yeah, I feel like it was a movie we talked about. But yeah, Columbine happened in 1999. So it must have been like a 2000s movie or 1999 movie or something like that.
Ginger Snaps.
Maybe. It might have been Ginger Snaps. Yeah, I remember us talking about that though on
Yeah, we definitely did.
yeah. I think you might be right. I think it might have been Ginger Snaps. But yeah, have a more darker mood killer, sorry.
Yeah. On a happier note,
Yeah.
Olivia Hussey
Mm-hmm.
was gonna be in Roxanne, right?
Roxanne! That?
Yeah, that's the one with Steve Martin. Um,
Oh!
yeah, and Steve
That's
Martin's like, "Oh
fun.
my god, I am your biggest fan. I loved you in one of your movies. Um, cannot wait to work with you," kind of thing. And she's like, "Yeah, thanks so much." This is like before they started shooting for Roxanne,
Yeah.
and she was under the impression it was like for her performance in Romeo and Juliet, like as you would,
Oh,
you know.
it was this.
Um, it was this, yeah. Steve Martin has seen this movie like hundreds of times.
Oh
He
my
loves this
god.
movie.
Wait, that makes me like Steve Martin more. He's just a horror girly. We love to see him.
He really is. Yeah.
That's really funny though. I feel like that would be me meeting like 90% of Hollywood. I'd be like, oh, I loved you in this movie. And it's just like the nichest role I've ever played.
Yes. Yeah. The ones that they forgot they were even in.
Yeah. Yeah. What's a girl to do?
She wasn't even going to take this role either until she talked to her psychic.
She just
Yep.
has one on call.
I guess she did at the time. Back in the 70s. Her psychic was like, "Yeah, you should take this role. It's going to be very lucrative for you." So she did. And it wasn't. But she had a good time.
It probably
The set
became
was,
lucrative. She probably got like royalties off of it, right?
I guess. I mean, I'm sure she did, but
Man, I'm gonna start going to a psychic to decide my life for me so that I'm not responsible if things go wrong.
my friend from high school and I went to a psychic to tell us what our jobs were going to be.
Oh.
I used to work on Balboa Peninsula. There
Mm-hmm.
are several psychics in that strip of buildings down there.
Yeah.
Um, and they said that she would work with paper,
That's
and she
so
became a,
vague.
yeah, but she became a patent lawyer,
Okay.
so she wasn't wrong. And they
I
said
work with
I
paper
would,
too. Like,
yeah, true. No,
every
you don't.
person
You
I
work with a
know works with paper.
computer. You work with a computer.
I literally have to get things notarized sometimes. I still work with paper.
Okay. Anyway, and they said that I would work with children and the people that I work with.
Oh,
So they were right about me too.
we have to cut that out.
Do we?
Hello, coworkers who listen to the
Uh,
podcast. Yeah,
anyway,
I think that's my problem though with psychics is that it's always so vague. Like you could literally interpret it however you want.
totally.
I remember my work one time brought in for Halloween, they brought in like tarot card readers.
Oh,
And it was so funny because the first girl was like, oh, like this card means that you're like very in touch with your spirituality. Like I can just feel that emanating from you. Like you're a very spiritual person. And she just looks at me and I was like, I'm literally the least spiritual person in the world. I was like, I'm so sorry to like shit on your parade, but like wrong. Incorrect.
hmm.
And then the second lady, because I had two, so I went to the other girl, and she was like, yes, these cards are telling me that you should follow your dreams. And I was like, that's great. You could say that to any motherfucker on the street. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not reading my
Yeah.
fortune. That's just saying follow
No.
your dream. Like, yeah, my mom tells me that too. Like, I don't. You're no different than her. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I just
Hmm.
don't buy it.
But yet you collect tarot cards.
Yeah, I think they're fun. They're cute. I like the aesthetic of the spiritual world, but I don't believe in it, which makes it kind of more fun.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's just like, it's not for real, real. It's for play, play. So I can just like play with the Ouija board and not be worried about like demons coming into my house, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how much fun it is?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
but okay.
Well, I think it's fun.
Anyway.
Anyways, back to Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I have very important news about this movie.
Oh.
The
Like current
character,
events news?
no, just
Oh.
from the script.
Oh.
Barb, the character of Barb, was intended to be bisexual. There's just like very small clues to it, but she's like seen reading like Playboy magazines throughout, which are of women. And then,
Okay.
but she also like talks about like her experiences with ex-boyfriends and stuff like that. So the intention, although very subtle, was that she was bisexual and she's interested in, you know, all the genders.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very progressive movie for the 70s.
I know, right? They still killed the gay, but that's fine.
Like they killed most of the
They
people.
killed almost everybody, so
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
This was kind of before like barrier gays became a real problem too, so
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's I never would have noticed that.
yeah, me neither. But I read about it afterwards and I was like, oh, go off, Barb. Me too.
What else?
The phone calls were done in post.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, I
And
gave that fun fact during our watch together.
yes.
But yeah, during shooting they were just reacting to like Bob Clark off camera just saying stuff. And he was like really tame with it because he didn't want them to
Yeah.
have like huge reactions. He kind of wanted them to seem numb because this is supposedly someone who's like called multiple times and said weird shit. So they're just kind of like, oh, here he is again, you know? And then afterwards he was like, let's just have him be fucking weird as shit.
Yeah. Which like two things. One, is it weirder to react to your director just saying like random shit, or is it more like natural to like react to what's actually supposed to be happening? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it thinking about it from my perspective, I don't even know if it would matter.
Yeah, I guess.
But I do think if I was listening to them like say some of the stuff, I might start laughing because some of it was like, it's really
True.
vulgar, but like if you knew the guy who was doing it and you're just like, stop, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, especially if you saw him doing it, because I guess he was like upside down, like on his head to try
Yeah.
to like get his diaphragm to like compress his lungs so he would sound guttural.
Yeah, to make it like really like raspy and creepy, he would just stand on his head
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah, I'd be fucking cackling if that was happening on set.
Yeah, true.
So yeah.
Um anyway, that was thing 1. And then thing 2, if they had gotten so many phone calls that they're supposed to be like immune to it by now and he has like this nickname already,
Hmm.
like how many people has he killed? And has he killed them all from inside the house?
I doubt the way I think about it is like, and this is just a theory that I came up with 30 seconds ago. Um,
Mhm. As I was asking the question.
no, I did think about that when I was reading about like the movie and stuff too. I was like, oh yeah, like they're
Okay.
supposed to be numb to this. So I had the same question. And I just kind of thought like maybe he starts calling the next house like while he's still at the old house or something like that. Like when he's killing like the last few people, he'll call the next place or something like that. So like, I don't know, maybe he was just calling them as his next victims and then went there or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
But Jess would have been the last person in the
Well, no,
house
because
he was
like
in.
Chris, the Claire's boyfriend, was still in there. The police were still in there. Like, we don't know how many people he's still gonna kill.
Yes.
We don't even know if the caller was him. It could have been like one of their parents or something. I think it's implied that it's
I
him. But
think it's
still,
implied.
you don't know. That's
It's
what an
implied.
ambiguous ending means. It means draw your own conclusions.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know, man. I didn't write it.
Well, what happened to the cat, by the way?
Lived happily ever after.
Okay. Well, how scary do you think it was?
A one. It is what it is, you know? It was. It's a fun little slasher, but not super scary. What about you?
Same.
One?
One. One. Sorry, I didn't want to dwell on the cat thing because you're right. It lived happily ever after, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, of course. That's how we think of it. It's
Right.
ambiguous. You create your
Ambiguous.
own ending.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was not scary. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas happy fun time,
Yeah. It's a romp.
which I wish it was a little more Christmas. Like, I
Oh.
wish he had like killed somebody with an icicle or like worn a Santa hat or drowned in hot chocolate, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if this is really like a Christmas movie. It's more so like a movie that takes place at Christmas. Like he's not a
Yeah.
killer who's like inspired by the holiday season. He's just like happens to be available to kill them all at Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like how people are like every white man you meet is like, "Oh, Die Hard's my favorite Christmas movie." Like it's not a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas. It's different.
Yeah. Well,
You
maybe
know?
if his favorite movie wasn't Die Hard, then it would have been a little bit more of a Christmas. He would have been a little bit more inspired in his
Yeah.
killings, his Christmas killings. He could have strangled her with wrapping paper instead of saran wrap.
Well, that'll just break though.
Movie magic.
But it
We
okay.
allow some liberties.
I wouldn't. Even when people are getting strangled by plastic, I'm like, "Babe, just pop a hole in it." Like,
Right?
what are you doing, babe? You could
Yeah.
survive. You'd be fine.
Put a little bow on her head.
Again, I don't think he's a Christmas killer. He's just someone killing around Christmas.
Called Black Christmas.
It wasn't originally,
I
but
know,
then
but
they kind
it
of like liked
was.
the idea of like having
They
a
should have
take of
leaned.
that.
They didn't like it that much. They should have leaned into it.
Oh yeah, because the, holiday themed movie Halloween has so many Halloween inspired kills. Why doesn't he kill him with a pumpkin?
Well, it's set on Halloween, the day,
Oh, I'm sorry, is this not set on Christmas?
and not the day.
Okay. So why should
It's
it be
set
more
in the
Christmassy?
season because I want it to be.
I want Halloween to be more Halloweeny.
That is well within your right.
Thank you.
Not arguing with you.
How sexy did you think it was?
I'm a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little. A 2.
A 2, okay. What was sexy about it?
Well, I mean, now that you tell me there's a bi character in it, I have to. That's
Yeah.
um. But I mean, Ran Wrap is interesting.
I knew it was
What
coming,
about
but it still hurt.
it hurt?
No, no, no. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
You?
I give it a 1.5 for Barb the Bi. It's not a very
Goodbye.
sexy slasher, though, is it? It's
There's
like
no running.
one of the least sexy slasher killers I think I've ever seen. Billy is not it.
There's no running. There's no hiding. There's no panting.
I know, and Jess's boyfriend sucks. It's like not even sexy. He's just a terrible person, and also they're trying to convince us he's like a 20-year-old college age person, and the man's clearly like he's clearly a 40-year-old man. So like I don't know
Right?
what that was about, but
Also, piano mutilation is not it.
oh yeah, he destroyed the
It's like a $40,000 piano.
yeah. I like to think that they like sued his estate because he's
At the
40 and
very
he has an
least.
estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gross.
yeah. Um, how fucked up did you think it was?
And like the hook through the throat thing. We had that in
Mm,
that other one.
yeah, you don't like that.
Yeah. No, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It's a 1.5.
I also give it a 1.5.
What did you give it a half for?
I give it a half a point for like the first phone call because it's like kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
It's like usually like vulgarity does not like offend me, but it was kind of a lot. And there was like some like noises that were being made that I was kind of like, ooh, I would have hung up already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why they just stood there listening to it.
I don't know. If it happened like all the time, you'd probably think it was funny. Like Barb was clearly like having a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole like Peter thing also, he was fucked up.
Yeah, Peter sucks.
Yeah, he sucked.
Yeah. Boo, Peter.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah. Overall,
Yeah, overall, I don't know. Didn't love it,
I know.
but I didn't hate it.
Right? Okay.
I would watch it again,
Okay.
but it didn't really put me in the Christmas spirit. You know?
Yeah.
I really wanted to be put in the Christmas
Mm. Yeah.
by our Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give it a 2.5.
Wrong, but okay.
What did you give it?
A 3.5.
Okay. That checks out.
Yeah.
Slasher.
I'm not like, I mean, we've already like figured this out, but I'm not a super big fan of a lot of the classics. Like, I can respect them for what they did for the genre, but like, maybe not for me personally. This one it's for me. I like this one. This is probably one of my like favorites out of the classics.
Mhm.
I just think it's aged well. Like, it's still like pretty feminist. Like, it's not like, I don't know, it's just not what you expect for a movie that came out of this time, especially when like other
Yeah.
slashers they came after it were like doing the opposite, And so the fact that this came out first and was still like more progressive than some of the ones that came after it, I enjoy. And I feel like it kind of had a more well established like side plots than a lot of the other ones too. So I don't know. Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a romp.
It certainly is a romp.
It is.
And maybe I'm a fucking hypocrite for liking it less than Halloween. When I hate movies without plots, and Halloween has less of a plot than this movie does.
I
But
did say that to you while we were watching it. You were like, "They're just talking. What? Where's all the murder?" And I was like, "For someone who complains constantly about movies not having a plot, you sure do hate this plot, don't you?"
yeah, because it was just moving so fucking slow. Like, plot faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think also like, well, I guess like Midsummer kind of has a slow start. I mean, that's a 2.5 hour movie, which is crazy because it doesn't feel like it. And I was
no,
thinking like
yeah,
we
it
just
kind of
kind of
did.
came off of like When Evil Lurks too, where it's like that movie's just kind of go 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 the whole time. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't slow down.
yeah,
So I could see how you'd kind of be in the mood for a faster pace.
yeah. I just wanted some like jingle bells, jingle
I'm sorry
bells,
it
and
wasn't Christmassy enough for you.
it's all right.
Would you survive it?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. Because I don't leave the house.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um, so I'm a pretty easy target, I think.
That's fair.
And I, yeah, I like, fine, take me. You know what I mean? It's my
Yeah.
time, whatever. What about you? Are you surviving?
I think if I'm Jess, I'm surviving. Because the second the police call and say, "Hey, you need to leave, he's in the house," bye. I'm gone. I'm out of there. I'm saying, "Hey, Barb and Phil, I'm heading out. You guys should too. Meet you outside." And then I'm going outside. I'm not going up there when they don't respond. You know what that means? They're fucking dead. So I gotta go. If I'm anyone else, I'm dead. Because they really didn't have a warning that somebody was even in the house, right? And so
True.
statistically, I'm gonna have to say that I
You're dead.
died. Yeah. It's kind of the same as like Friday the 13th. Oh my god, Friday the
Everybody died.
13th. They didn't really know someone. No, I'm just kidding. They did. They just didn't know
Well,
it was a woman. Pamela. For a little bit. But I feel like there's always like a couple kills at the beginning where they don't know and then they find them and everything goes to shit.
yeah,
Um, but I think I said that in that too, where I'm like, if I'm her, yeah, I can take Pamela.
yeah.
But if I'm anybody else and it's like a sneak attack, like a little bitch, then no. And I think I said no on that one, so I'll say no on this one too. It's unlikely that I'm going to be the last one because knowing me, I'm already in my bedroom because I get fatigued when I have to do large gatherings. And so I would probably be like, "Oh, I'm worn out. I'm going to hit the hay."
Well, also, you saying, I mean, yes, I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
But you saying that you're Jess and you get the phone call saying you need to leave
Yeah.
and you just leave. Remember, she couldn't get out the front door. That's why she went to the basement.
I think she just didn't have time to get out at that point though, because he was right behind her.
Oh.
I think it was more of like a she couldn't get the lock undone before he was at like by her, so she had to divert.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think if she had left
Okay,
before
okay.
she even was confronted by him, she would have been fine. Just wait outside until the police
Okay.
get there. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. So statistically we're dead cuz we're sleeping.
Statistically, it's unlikely that I would still be the last one not in my room. So I'd probably die. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. Would you like to predict next week's film?
Already?
We can talk about other stuff first if you like.
Oh. No, I mean, yes. Let's.
Um,
Let's.
well, just to keep in the holiday spirit, we have another Christmas themed movie. Ish. It's called Krampus.
Ish.
Well, Krampus isn't traditional Christmas, but it's Christmas-esque.
Okay.
I hope it'll be more Christmassy for you.
Me too. Um, I don't think it is,
Okay.
unfortunately for me.
Yeah.
Um, but wait, isn't our next episode like a fun episode?
Yeah, do you want to tell people or do you want me to?
No, I want to tell people.
Okay, tell them what next episode is.
Next episode is our 50th episode.
It is.
50. I can't believe it. So we're celebrating with a special guest. Steph from Chasing Childhood podcast is going to be joining us. We are so excited to have her. And yeah, we're going to be talking about Krampus.
Yeah. We should say Steph picked it too, so we're
Yes,
excited
we
to
let
have
Steph
her
pick.
on. We're excited to have her pick. I'm pumped.
Yeah. Yeah. And Krampus, if you didn't know, is about
Here we go.
a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like a kind of like a furry, like
Mm-hmm.
a black furry monster that he reminds me of the monsters in the Scooby-Doo movie,
Great. Okay.
but like black and furry with horns and like
Of
long
course.
nails
Yeah.
and kind of like walks like on like his knuckles kind of like, but like his back legs are shorter than his arms, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So that's like what Krampus is. And he's got the horns. He kind
Yeah.
of looks like goaty.
Goaty.
Sorta.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish I could like draw what I'm
I would
envisioning,
love you
but
to draw it and then we can post that on our social medias.
I won't
Oh.
subject anyone to that.
I
But
think
maybe
we'd
I
like
could.
to see.
Maybe I will. I'll put it on Instagram stories so it's not perpetually available.
Perfect.
Okay, so that covers that base. So we know what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kids. I think there's kids and they are whisked away
Wow.
from their homes on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
They're all the naughty kids.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the naughty nice list thing again.
Yeah.
That trope.
Yep.
I really want that trope to happen in a horror.
One day.
Yeah, all the not so I'm wrong.
I didn't say if that day was gonna be next week or not.
Okay. So all the naughty kids are whisked away to Krampus's lair,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to prove themselves to Krampus through a series of psychological tests and physical tests.
Oh my god, it's like Christmas Squid Games.
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking more like Christmas Playground.
The book?
The book. Yeah, because it's horror.
I hope not.
And but it's like candy cane through the throat
Mm.
and drowning in hot chocolate and
Yeah.
Christmassy death count.
Christmassy death counts. Yes.
Yes. And only one of them survives.
Which
And he
one?
rides home on the back of Krampus. And as he rides home on Krampus's back, he turns into a majestic reindeer.
Oh my god.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
That's Krampus.
I'm super excited to watch that.
It's like an artsy movie, though. It sounds really stupid,
Oh, okay.
but if I had explained Midsummer to you without any context outside of,
Yeah, it might
sounds
sound
stupid
funny too. Yeah. Great. Can't wait.
that's Krampus.
That's Krampus.
So glad Steph chose it.
Same. Do you know who it stars? Do you know anybody in this film? I mean, you do, but I'm just wondering if you know that you know who's in this film.
No. Danny DeVito as Krampus. I hope.
I God, I wish.
Yeah. No,
No.
who's in it?
It stars Adam Scott
Oh.
and Toni Collette.
Oh. So wait, is it a comedy or is it a horror?
It is a horror comedy.
Cute.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more like black comedy, but yeah,
Okay.
it's got that element in there for you.
Cute. Yeah, with Adam Scott in it, I would hope so.
Yeah,
He's a funny guy.
he's a funny guy, isn't
Mhm.
he? Yeah, yeah. I'm super excited.
Me too.
50 episodes. That's crazy. We're almost at a year, and super excited.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you then. Bye.
There it is.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for today. If there are any movies you'd like to hear us talk about or you'd like to traumatize me with, please let us know in the comments or shoot us a DM on our socials at Killer Cuties Podcast.
Thanks so much for listening. Next week, we're so excited to say is our 50th episode. So, to celebrate, our guest star Steph has chosen the 2015 horror comedy film Krampus. We hope to see you then. Bye.